Welcome to my YouTube channel, Free Skeptic. I'm your host, Rich Burkett, and the video's title is Neurodeterminism, Free Will, Free When, and Time. Determinism implies there is only one possible future in addition to only one present and only one past. Neurodeterminism skeptics, and I coined this term neurodeterminism because what it says is the brain and our neurological processes subject to only one possible path into the future. Neurodeterminism skeptics and free will proponents suggest that there could be more than one possible future. If there's only one past and only one present, then there is only one actual future. There could be many possible futures, but there's only one actual future. Whether or not there is only one actual future, only one present, or only one past is more about multiverses and metaverses than about a necessary belief in determinism. That is, you don't need to believe in determinism to believe that there's only one actual future. Just as it's nearly impossible to disprove more than one possible future, not knowing the future nor able to know the future, it is nearly impossible to disprove only one possible future retrospectively in hindsight. If someone asserts they could choose, decide, or act otherwise, a skeptic could ask, how is it possible for someone to have chosen, decided, or acted otherwise? The assertion is you could choose otherwise. The question is it possible to have chosen otherwise? The assertion is about what could be done, while the assertion is about what has been done. What has been done can't be undone, as if it never happened. What does it mean to choose or decide otherwise? To choose or to decide otherwise includes delaying or not making or acting on a choice or decision. In my video, Free Will, Free Won't, and Free When, I call this Free When and Free Won't. Other possible options include options not mutually constrained, that is, options that could be chosen or decided separately from other options. Mutually exclusive options also include free will options and options with initial constraints. Initial constraints include external and internal constraints. Initial external constraints includes, an example, test givers constraining test takers' options. That is, the test givers can tell the test takers, in a multiple choice test, you're only allowed to choose one. You could choose more than one. You could choose zero. But if you choose more than one or zero, you're going to get that answer wrong. And so that is a constraint on your choices, is that if you want to pick the correct choice, you can only pick one choice. Okay. And other options test givers give are constraints on time. You have so much time to make your choices. Initial internal constraints include lack of awareness, knowledge, skills, talents, influence, or money. Choices, decisions, and actions are dynamic processes that include awareness or consciousness of options, assessment or evaluation of options, internalization or personalization of options. That is, you take an option you're aware of and then you want to make it your own option to actualize. That is, you see people buying cars and I may internalize that to say, I want to buy a car, okay? And then the fourth step is the actualization of those. And then after that, we may or may not want to modify our initial processes. Examples mentioned in this video are option-abundant activities, including writing, voting, testing, shopping, menus, YouTube videos, and also consider unethical options. Awareness or consciousness of options, aided by pattern recognition. And again, pattern recognition is something that humans and animals have evolved and developed by evolution. This pattern recognition is an essential part of survival. Includes observation, conversation, investigation, articles, newspapers, magazines, books, television, audio, and video recordings. Stress, video recordings and streaming, searching, and browsing the internet. Now, awareness usually starts very early in life when you're a child. You observe other people making decisions and the consequences of making those decisions. That's in the memory that we remember that people have these other people have made these options and have internalized those options themselves, and so and then other options we become aware of later in life. Okay. So awareness. Okay. Assessment or evaluation of options includes benefits, costs, ethics, legality, utility, and constraints, including possibility, availability, preferability, attainability, and sustainability. You know, we become aware of options, and then we analyze those options. We assess them, we evaluate them, and so we become aware of somebody stealing, and then we assess that is unethical, and may not want to pursue unethical activity. Okay. Assessment process includes the same sources as awareness or consciousness. Internalization or personalization of options includes consideration, deliberation, adoption, or rejection for self-use. We are aware of options. We've assessed the options. We may have done that and not internalized or personalized those options. That is, we become aware of what other people are able to do, but we don't necessarily believe that that's something that we need to do until later, maybe. So, internalization. Let's see here. Next. Self includes individual persons or a group of persons. And that includes corporations, activist groups, government. Group choices, decisions, and actions could include additional considerations, deliberations, and a process of determining a group's choices, decisions, or actions, mainly by election or polling. Or just the leader of the group unilaterally deciding something. But that wouldn't be a group choice, would it? They made a choice for the group. Okay. Adoption or actualization includes choosing, deciding, or acting now without internal delay. Number one. Number two, to delay until later. And that includes delaying a decision to act later or delaying a decision to delay a decision. It can be either one. And the third possibility is to not choose, not decide, nor act, to not act. That is, we've considered it, and we decided that not to do it. That, for an example, would be, say, the president is urging you to get vaccinated. You had not considered whether or not to get vaccinated now, but now you're considering the possibility of being vaccinated. And then after some investigation, after some other ways of assessing whether or not I should take a vaccine, I may choose to not take a vaccine. And in deciding not to do something doesn't require any action. So this is where, now you could say the investigation of whether or not to take a vaccine is an action that satisfies empirical evidence that you intend to do something. Okay? If an option is rejected for self-use, this is free won't. That's what I just talked about. If an option is delayed or delayable, this is free when. In my YouTube video, Free Will, Free Won't, and Free When, I originated the phrase free when. So please give me credit if you talk about free when in any of your videos or comments. The ethics or lack of ethics of choosers, deciders, and actions influence whether or not an unethical option is considered or adopted. Let's say the option is to steal something. Well, the lack of ethics of the thief may influence whether or not they choose the option of stealing to achieve a certain goal. Actualization is preceded by preparation to satisfy initial constraints, including accumulation of information, abilities, skills, talents, influence, and or money. Okay, now, I'm trying to see here. So you might, before taking a test, you might prepare a test. Before buying a car, you may need to accumulate sufficient money. To drive a car, you may need to accumulate sufficient skills and talents and abilities. Okay, let's see here. Modification, revision, or adjustment of options, choices, decisions, and actions include those caused by intervening constraints and or unanticipated constraints. Let's say I want to go out and buy a red car. Well, I go out there and I can't find any red cars. Or, I don't know, red's a pretty common color. Let's say you want something that's a very rare option on a car that you're looking for and you can't find that car. Well, the inability to find something that you're looking for is an intervening constraint. And when that happens, if we're unable to buy the car we want, we have to modify our options by either adding or reducing or changing initial constraints. That is, okay, I can't find a red car, but I can find a car to buy. And so then I have to decide, well, what other color would I want? Or I may not care. If it's not red, I just don't care. But I do want to buy a car, even if I can't find a red car to buy. Okay. Modified decisions could be considered new and different decisions. This will make the empiricist happy to know that empiricists like to divvy up decisions into little pieces to show that that maybe you don't have free will after all. Okay, additional options could be previously unaware of options or unconsidered options. That is, we're out buying a car, and we had certain constraints on the kind of car we wanted to get. We go out there, and then we realize there's other options that we had not considered or were unaware of, that we have to decide, well, is that something I want or don't care? Maybe one way or the other, you know. These dynamic processes could take years, or, especially the processes of awareness to actualization or internalization. That process could take years. Because you may be aware of a process, but there may be reasons why you can't act on those options until perhaps years later. Let's say you're aware that as a child, 10 years old, people drive cars, people buy cars, but I realize that I don't have enough money, or I'm not old enough, eligible enough to drive a car or buy a car for that matter. And so I have to wait, and that could take years, all right? Or they could be fast, instantaneous, and immediate processes. And that's something where, let me go on, let's see here. The duration of processes could be constrained by time and other constraints, if any. There may not be any constraints on the duration, including starting times and ending times, such as urgency, eligibility. Like I said, age eligibility is one factor. It could be, whether or not you've been certified to do something that you wouldn't be legally able to do otherwise. Reservations, appointments, countdowns, deadlines, and expirations. These processes could be sequential, concurrent, or some combination of both. And I'm talking about the processes of 1 through 5. That is, usually the sequence is, it starts with awareness. Without awareness, how would you know to even consider an option if you weren't aware of the option? So that's usually the first option. And we could immediately, upon being aware of an option, assess its options. So those could go on concurrently. And it may be that our constraints are that we have to act immediately. That is, we don't have time to deliberate and consider the options. So that could be like, okay, there's a ball coming at me. I become aware of it, and I have no time to think about it except to duck out of the way. Now that's one option. The other option is to not do anything and get hit in the head. Well, but the thing is that has to be a fairly quick process. So there can be then there can be processes that are between long-term processes and immediate processes. Okay. Some options could be part of a less specific option. That is, I wanted to buy a red car, can't find it, so my option could be a less specific option of buying a car that's not red. Okay. Some options could include more specific options. That is, I find that I want to buy a car, and when I go to look to buy a car, I discover other options like red cars. Okay, I may change my mind, decide, okay, I want to buy a red car, not just any car. That's a case of more specific option. This implies concurrent options could be adopted and actualized. As the present progresses through the future, what becomes of past unactualized possible futures? That is, all the possible futures that weren't actualized, that weren't chosen. past unactualized possible futures continue to be possible futures unless they're ended by intervening constraints or initial constraints, including mutually exclusive constraints, which another future was chosen instead. That is, okay, let's say I find that I could possibly buy 2 cars, and I decide to only buy one. Now, I could have bought both of them or bought neither of them if I had the money. Or let's say I go out shopping for a car, and I find that there's only one option. And so that's an intervening constraint, is that, let's say I wanted to buy more than one car, I could only find one. Or I wanted to buy more than one of something, and then I could only find one of something. So those are intervening constraints that are mutually exclusive constraints, which another future was chosen instead. Okay. The other future chosen instead is I bought one car and I didn't buy the other car. But that did not end the possibility of me or somebody else buying that other car. That possible future continues on. Please comment, subscribe, like, and share. Have a nice day.